This is Aner Dyfan Teaches from the Depths, building a basic hovercraft utilising the PID general purpose. Building a hovercraft utilising the PID is very similar to building a submarine, the main difference being the altitude differences, so there will be a number of similarities between this and that video. So, this is my setup. I would like to make this into a hovercraft. This is only a test platform, but I can make it hover nevertheless. So, first and foremost, what I need is thrust on the bottom. So, I need one closely in line with the centre of mass, as this will give it a very good power. I would like one at the front and one at the rear to control pitch. And then I would like one either side, again, try to match them in line with the centre of mass as much as possible, for roll. For best effect, you would want one either side, top and bottom, in each of these locations, as this will allow a much quicker response time for the PID to function. After placing the thrusters, each one needs to be manually configured with the correct thrust. So these ones are the roll reverse right hand side, and these ones are the left hand side. The ones at the back you need to set as thruster reverse because they are behind the centre of mass. If you do not do this, then the PID system will not know which thrusters to use, and it will in fact make the system more unstable or just not function at all. For a basic hovercraft, we are going to require 3 PID blocks. One is going to be set at altitude, one for pitch, and one for roll. So, I've just set this PID for altitude. I'm going to make this hover at 20 meters, and I need to set the test stimulus to test sim 1. This will now mean the craft will try and reach it. I'm currently holding it with caps lock, so it's trying to do something and nothing's happening. Let's see what it does. Releasing craft from caps lock. Nothing is happening. It's trying to do it, but the gain is not strong enough. So I have increased the gain here. Let's see what happens now. So there we go. The ship is actually trying to thrust up, but it's pitching up at the fore because of the position of the thrusters. So next we're going to set the pitch. So since we want this ship to be flying level, we do not need to adjust the test stimulus at all and just set this PID for pitch control. So releasing the craft again. You can see now it lifts up and the thrusters at the fore and rear are activating stabilizing craft. But now we are listing slowly to the side and getting more and more and more. This means we now need a roll thruster. So, the third and final one needs to be set for roll. Again, release. And here we go. This is now a functioning hovercraft. What you do notice, though, is that this is oscillating a little bit. It's varying around quite a lot. This is due to the gain being too high for this very light ship. So it is mostly the roll function which is going too fast. So let's reduce this down to a reduction there to only 5. And also I'm just going to reduce the derivative time as well. Here we go. That's much more stable now. The heavier the craft, the greater this gain would need to be. You see there, it went from that, as soon as I changed it, it came down to a nice steady line. Pitch currently seems to be fine, so that's all good. This, though, is now actually a fully functioning hovercraft. It is sitting at 20 meters above the water surface and is now just awaiting some thrust. A couple of things I forgot to mention regarding the PID block. You do not require a AI mainframe on the ship for it to actually function. It's completely independent, so long as you use the correct one. There are 2 ones. The general purpose one works independently of the AI, and then there is one in the AI one, the PID AI, which connects to the AI system and adjusts controls of the AI itself. One thing you will now notice, I have added some basic thrust to the ship. So I have added some forward thrust and some turning thrust. This, though, as you'll notice, is not in line with the centre of mass, which generally is considered a bad thing because you end up talking around the centre of mass. The great thing with PID, it can cope with this and adjust accordingly. So I'm just going to show you how. So, although technically working, my ship is incredibly unstable. Ignore the yawing, that's because these thrusters are set too high. But you can see the pitch and it's also rolling around. This can be easily corrected utilising the PID. First of all, I'm going to edit the pitch. This is the most obvious one, since the actual thrust is pushing the ship down nose first. And this one, I just need to increase the gain slightly. This will allow it, and also reduce, but you see here I've added too much and it's now oscillating loads. So I'm just going to reduce the derivative and the response time. This means it will actually try and correct it more evenly. And there we go. It's still not fully stable because it's primarily using a little bit of roll. So I just need to do a similar sort of process to the roll as well. Increase the gain a little bit and probably reduce the response a touch as well. Just all a little bit of fine tuning just to see when I'm happy with its stability. Again, increase the gain on the pitch. And there we go. That's much more stable there. There we have it. That is a basic hovercraft utilising the PID. You do need to fiddle around with it and adjust things because it does depend where the thrusters are as to how much of a correction is required. But, as you can see, it does work very well. One problem, though, you may receive, particularly using thrusters like this, is if it does ever nosedive into the water, it can be very difficult to get back out again. I will show you how to correct one of those situations. So, this is a situation which can occur during combat or so if the PID system gets damaged. And so what I've done, the pitch control got destroyed. If I put the pitch back on, see that the ship is failing to right itself, because what it's trying to do is that all these thrusters on the bottom are trying to correct the altitude, and this one here is trying to correct the pitch, but they're actually counteracting each other so nothing is happening at all. A way to resolve this is to ensure you have uneven thrusts, top and bottom. So I'm going to place a couple of thrusters at the top here, make sure I set them for thruster reverse, and that will now correct the pitch, allowing the roll and altitude to then function. Unfortunately, I am using normal thrusters, so it's going into the water and turning off. But I can do a similar thing at the front here as well. So it'll correct itself with pitch, but now the altitude are off. The easiest way to solve this is utilise a few ion thrusters. The ion thrusters work underwater and they're happily lifted up out of the drink and allow it to restabilise itself. There you have it though. Building a hovercraft utilising the PID general purpose is not that difficult. Hope you found this very useful. Until next time.